Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, and today I have the luxury to be joined by my good friend Josh Fan of ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com, and together we're recording this video live from the Sports Radio 810 WHB studios, and we're going to give you our final preview of Super Bowl 57 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Chiefs Kingdom, the time has finally come, and it all comes down to this. The Kansas City Chiefs face off against the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 57 down in Glendale, Arizona. Tomorrow night, a champion will be crowned, and the Chiefs have an opportunity to hoist their second Lombardi trophy in the last 5 years. And the only thing that stands in their way is the Philadelphia Eagles. Josh, this has the potential to be an all-time great Super Bowl. Two of the best teams in the NFL facing off against each other. Fireworks are going to happen. So what are your initial thoughts about this game, and how do you think it's going to end up going?
Oh, man. I'm ready for this game to happen. Yeah, I have the feeling that I'm ready. Just got to get through Saturday. I'm just anxious. I don't really want to do too much of anything else, even on a Saturday night, just because I'm prepared for the Super Bowl. I'm ready for the Super Bowl, and I'm just ready for the game to happen. But I think Chiefs fans will be they will enjoy the results of tomorrow night.
I think so too, and just like you, my nerves are starting to set in, and I'm not sure that they're going to go away until this game is over. So those nerves are good. We've been in this game a lot in the past 5 years, 3 times to be exact, but it never gets any easier. You still get nervous before this kind of game, but this year feels a little bit different. I have a little bit more confidence in this Chiefs team than I have in any other team, and I think it's because they're just battle-tested. They've been in this game before. We're going into this game with every starter playing. Every single starter on both offense and defense for both teams is going to play in this game. So the Chiefs are as healthy as they're going to be, and I think that against this Eagles team that, let's face it, they didn't really play anybody this year. They didn't face any adversity. I think the Chiefs can come out in this game and kind of shock the world, so to speak, and play that underdog spoiler role and defeat the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and you mentioned how the Chiefs are battle-tested, and, they had 2 really gutsy wins against the Bengals and the Jaguars earlier this postseason, and I think that we talked about facing adversity and how that's important, and the Chiefs were able to do that. You don't always want that to have to happen where they go through, a difficult time, and you hate for Mahomes to go down and everything. But both of those wins said a lot about the Chiefs and who they are as a team. And now you got them pretty much fully healthy, except for McCole Hardman. He's not going to play in this game, which sucks. But they've been without him for quite a while now. And also the experience that the Chiefs have is something that can't be forgotten. You've got Andy Reid, you've got Patrick Mahomes, and they've been in this game multiple times before. Steve Spagnuolo, who is, if he wins this game, will be getting his 4th Super Bowl ring, which is crazy because, like, Steve Spagnuolo, he's a guy that is a popular punching bag in Kansas City, and, we're not we're guilty of that. We said a lot of things about Spags before, but he has a chance to go for his 4th Super Bowl ring in this game, and that would make him a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator, in my opinion.
It's just the Chiefs' experience in this game is off the charts. This is Andy Reid's 7th Super Bowl appearance. Granted, not all of them are as a head coach, but Nick Sirianni's been in this game once, and it was as an assistant. So I really like the way that the Chiefs are coming into this game, just overall more experienced than the Eagles in pretty much every area, and I think that could prove to be a big factor in this game. But one thing that I kind of want to mention along the lines of how the Eagles haven't played anybody, during this playoff run, the Eagles played Danny Dimes at home and dropped like 37 on him. And then in the NFC Championship game, they faced Brock Purdy, who is Mr. Irrelevant. He got hurt. Josh Johnson came in. He got hurt. They had to put Brock Purdy back in the game. He couldn't throw the football. And they were able to beat the Niners at home to advance to this game. They faced no adversity, and the regular season schedule wasn't any better. They had the 3rd easiest schedule in the NFL, while the Chiefs had the 5th toughest. So I do put a lot of stock in who you play, and if you can't play any teams that would prepare you for this game, I think it's going to really benefit the Chiefs because they've played tough teams week after week, and the Eagles simply haven't. And What are the Eagles going to do when they go up against the Chiefs in this game, get hit in the mouth? How are they going to respond?
Yeah, and you mentioned the Eagles played a really easy schedule this year. I don't know how you could argue against that, including Eagles media, who somehow seem to think the Eagles didn't have an easy schedule. They absolutely did. They barely played any quarterbacks. Not to say they didn't play, competent teams. Like, I thought the Cowboys were competent this year, but they're not great. And they faced them once with Cooper Rush at quarterback, and Dak Prescott, he's not an all-pro or anything like that. They faced a really easy schedule. The Chiefs are by far the best offense they played all year. The best quarterback that they faced all year. And, you just wonder if they're ready for what's coming.
And there's no way to tell you if they are ready until they find out. And I think that Patrick Mahomes is going to be something that they have never seen before. They've never played a guy like Patrick Mahomes this season, at least. And I just don't think that you can prepare for that. And you can't prepare for Andy Reid's offense coming off of a bye. If you've never experienced that firsthand, you're going to find out the hard way. And I think that the Chiefs' offense is going to have no problem scoring points in this game. And defensively, they're coming off of one of their best games of the season against the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game. That defense was locked down. The pass rush had the game of their lives. They got 5 sacks on Joe Burrow. And Philadelphia's defense is good. Their pass rush is the best in the league. They had 70 sacks. We've talked about it all week. They had 4 guys that got double-digit sacks. But this Chiefs defensive unit is poised for another big game. And I think against that Eagles offense that, again, is relatively inexperienced and has a quarterback that's coming back from a shoulder injury. And since he's been back, he's been significantly worse. I wonder how the defense is going to play against Jalen Hurts when we haven't really seen the best Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I don't think the Chiefs will be getting the best Jalen Hurts in this game. I think they'll be getting Jalen Hurts' best effort, of course, but the shoulder injury isn't something that has really gone away yet. Same could be said for Patrick Mahomes and his ankle injury, but we also saw Patrick Mahomes go out there against the Cincinnati Bengals, who are a much tougher opponent than anybody the Eagles have faced this year, and throw for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm more confident in Patrick Mahomes, and I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt. You can't really say the same for Jalen Hurts because he hasn't been in those situations before. This is his first Super Bowl. Same thing for Nick Sirianni. And again, the Chiefs should be the favorite, in my opinion, because they have so much experience in this game.
It's really weird how the national media has really disrespected the Chiefs, not just in the AFC Championship game, but they're continuing to make the same mistake in this Super Bowl. The Eagles are 1.5-point favorites, which I can't fault the odds makers for making the Eagles the betting favorite, but even the public opinion is all pouring in favor of the Eagles. And the only thing that I would say to that is, have they watched the Chiefs play football this year? Have they watched the Eagles beat anybody of note? And the answer to that question is no. The Chiefs are ready to take advantage in this moment. And Patrick Mahomes, man, I think this is a legacy game. I think we see how truly great he is in this kind of performance. And I think that regardless of the high ankle sprain, regardless of what the pass rush of the Eagles can do, I think he's going to have a great game and he's going to will this Chiefs team to victory. But that kind of leads me to my next question. What do you think the Chiefs offense has to do to be successful in this game?
That's a really good question. I think to be successful in this game, they're going to have to be balanced. They're going to have the right mix of running the football and throwing the football. I think you're going to have to exploit the correct matchups when it comes to who you're throwing the ball to. Kelsey, Harris, Tony, MDS, I think that your top 3 pass catchers in this game, and I think that the Eagles secondary is one that they can attack fairly easily. And that's just my opinion. I also think that you got to win the line of scrimmage battle, of course, too. I mean, that's the biggest one. The Eagles pass rush was one of the best in the league this year. 70 sacks, talked about it all week. You got to do as much as you can to neutralize them, and I think you win this game.
I couldn't agree more. It's going to come down to somebody outside of Travis Kelce stepping up. Andy Reid mentioned it earlier this week that there could be an unsung hero in this game on the offensive side. Maybe it's Juju Smith-Schuster. Maybe it's Marquez Valdes-Scantling again. We kind of talked about maybe Kadarius Toney having a breakout game. I expect somebody to step up and kind of be that unsung hero of this offense outside of the guys that are normally great like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Maybe it's the running backs with Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco. I think that the Chiefs' offense, like you said, is going to have to be a lot more balanced in this game. I don't think that that means that you have to run the ball 60% of the time or even 40% of the time, but you can't have the same kind of rushing performance that you did against the Bengals. The Chiefs could not run the ball, but luckily in this game, the one weakness of that Eagles defense is they can't really stop the run. They have had problems stopping it, and I think the Chiefs could take advantage of that and sustain longer drives. I think that ultimately, execution is going to be the biggest key. If they can execute on offense and stay on the field, they're going to be able to convert in the red zone and, on some big third downs. But execution is going to be key. If they can turn a 3rd and 1 into a fresh set of downs, it's going to change kind of how this game looks. So I think that as long as you're executing, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, the run is going to be really important because short yardage as well. You got to be able to run the ball in a short yardage situation. Now, I said that I would rather the Chiefs throw the ball in short yardage when I made my video on my channel about how do you fix the short yardage offense. I would stop running the ball, but I don't think the Chiefs are going to do that. I think they're going to run, and if you're going to run, it's got to be successful. You can't be getting stuffed on 3rd and 1, especially when you have what a lot of people consider to be the best interior 3 in all of football with Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith. And, yeah, they're going to have to run the ball better than they did against the Bengals. They averaged like 2.6 yards per carry against Cincinnati, and that can't be the case again in this game. They were able to survive either way because the defense was so good and Mahomes was able to improvise just enough, but you got to be able to run the ball better against the Philadelphia Eagles, especially since they haven't been a very impressive run defense this year.
You really do. And offensively, the passing game, I don't expect anything to drastically change from the regular season. I think that the one thing to the Chiefs' advantage is they're getting their top 3 wide receivers back. You won't have Mecole Hardman, but you're getting Juju back. You're getting MVS. Well, MVS was already back, but you're getting Tony back, and you're also getting I can't think of the third one. Who's the third one? Juju. Yeah, you're getting Juju back. So having those guys back in the rotation for this game, regardless of their health, is going to be huge. And I think that they're going to be able to kind of do more on offense in this game than they were able to do last week because all their receivers were gone. So we might see a better offensive game plan and a more dynamic offense because Mahomes just has more pieces out there. Marcus Kemp is not going to be catching meaningful balls in this game. Hopefully.
Yeah, another important thing that we actually haven't really brought up at all this week, when the Chiefs wide receivers went down, that also took away another element of their offense, which was wide receiver blocking. And Juju Smith-Schuster is a very good blocking wide receiver, and that hurts them when it comes to the screen and the quick passing game. Sky Moore and Marcus Kemp, those guys aren't really known for their blocking ability as wide receivers, so having Juju back is huge.
And the one thing that we've also talked about all week long, the Eagles play soft zone defensively. And the one thing that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid do better than anybody is attack and manipulate soft zone. And that's why I think that we could see a big offensive performance from the Chiefs, because if the Eagles are letting the Chiefs get 2 or 3 yards from the jump, it could really change how these drives go. And I think that we might see the Eagles start to kind of change their defensive philosophy because Travis Kelce could go for like $150 and 2 touchdowns if the Eagles aren't careful. Like, that's how good he is against zone. That's how good he is at, roaming around open space and making great catches and just yards after the catch. But Patrick Mahomes is great against soft zone too. And if they try to blitz him, we know Patrick Mahomes' percentage against the blitz. So I really do think that the Eagles defensively don't match up great with the Chiefs, and they can't really simulate anything like the Chiefs' offense, which is why I think the Chiefs have such a big advantage in this game, and they can really take advantage of it.
Yeah, I also think the zone defense favors the Kansas City Chiefs because when you look at their wide receivers, they're not the type to beat man coverage. That's kind of where they struggle. Like, they moved away from Tyreek Hill, who is a man beater, right? And when they did that and they brought in Juju Smith-Schuster and MVS, those are guys that were bigger, probably more physical, but they're not big separators. They haven't gotten a lot of separation. They struggle to beat man coverage, and that's just what happens when you go with bigger receivers. You're kind of depending on them to use their bodies more to make a catch. And if the Eagles are running a zone defense, it's just even easier on those guys.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people are going to point out, oh, the Eagles have the #1 passing defense in the league. I don't really buy it because, again, it all goes back to who are the Eagles playing, who are the Eagles beating, and they just didn't play very many good offenses. The best offenses they faced was Aaron Rodgers and the Packers and Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, and Dak Prescott dropped 40 on their heads. So I'm not really worried about Mahomes moving the ball and scoring points in this game. The question is going to be, can they, get over themselves and execute? Because if they can execute in the red zone, they're going to win this game, and it's that simple. But do you have anything else you want to add before we move over to talk about the Chiefs' defense?
Nah, I'm ready to talk about it.
All right, Josh, let's talk about what could win or lose the Chiefs this Super Bowl, and that's the Chiefs' defense. Obviously, the Chiefs are coming off of a fantastic performance against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game, where the defense, again, sacked Joe Burrow 5 times and turned the ball over. They got 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions on Joe Burrow. They looked fantastic, and they held the Bengals offense. The Bengals offense was, I think, averaging like 27 points per game in the playoffs. They held them to 20. So how big is defense going to be in this game, and what do they need to do to win?
What they need to do to win is contain the Eagles in their rushing game, I think. And I think these Chiefs DBs are very good. I trust them to hold their own. But the Eagles' rush defense, or their rushing offense, cannot be taken lightly, and they got a good stable of running backs. Chiefs were top 10 in defending the run this year, though. They've made huge strides in defending the run. So, I think they're up to the challenge, but I think it's about effort and it's about will. And if we can get that from them, then I think we'll see a pretty good defensive game plan. I also think, you got to get a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts in this one. I would blitz him if I was Steve Spagnuolo to begin the game and see how he responds to that. See how Jalen Hurts responds to the pressure. It's a big game. It's his first Super Bowl. If you're getting pressure on him and it makes him uncomfortable, stick with that.
Exactly. I think pressure on Jalen Hurts early could really sway the outcome of this game because, listen, Jalen Hurts has never played in a game of this magnitude. He's never played in a Super Bowl, and the offensive line of the Eagles is good, but they're also not against giving up sacks. They've given up a hefty amount of sacks. What were they, 19th in the league in sacks?
19th in the league in sacks allowed.
Yeah, like that's really beneficial for the Chiefs' defensive line, and they're coming off of a great performance. But the question is going to be, can Chris Jones have a similar performance? And if he doesn't, how is that going to affect the rest of the defensive line? Because maybe they're going to have to blitz with L'Jarius Sneed coming off the edge or find different ways to get pressure. But if Chris Jones is able to do half of what he did last week against the Bengals, it could be a long day for Jalen Hurts and that offense. And again, Jalen Hurts is injured. That shoulder injury has bothered him. And when he's had basically a bunch of time back in the pocket to throw, he's had opportunities to hit his receivers because eventually wide receivers are going to get open. So if the Chiefs' defensive line can force pressure, similarly like the Bengals game, it's going to be what changes the outcome of this game.
Yeah, they're going to have the defensive line do a lot of what they did against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this Eagles offensive line, I think, is a lot more talented than the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line, which will make their job harder. But, Chris Jones, he just seems like a guy that can't be stopped this postseason, and trusting Chris Jones.
Yeah, Chris Jones is a Defensive Player of the Year finalist. Obviously, he didn't get that, but that might give him some extra motivation in this game. But I really like the way this Chiefs defense is playing. The line has been really good the past couple weeks with Trevor Lawrence getting sacked, Joe Burrow getting sacked, and I don't think that Jalen Hurts is going to be the exception. The linebackers are going to have to be pivotal in this game. Willie Gay Jr. and Nick Bolton are going to have to step up and play a very good game in order to win. But also, a lot is resting on the Chiefs' defensive backs. The Chiefs have a lot of inexperience in the defensive secondary. We've talked about it a lot. You got 7th-round draft pick Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, Brian Cook, Justin Reed. L'Jarius Sneed is kind of forced to be the veteran presence in that group. So they've got a lot of inexperience, but so far in the playoffs, they've looked really good. But if the Chiefs' defensive line can force that kind of pressure up front, It's going to take that pressure off of the Chiefs' defensive backs. So how critical do you think the defensive back performance is going to be going up against wide receivers like Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown?
Very, very important because even though we both agreed that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are the better wide receiver duo, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are right behind those guys. They're very talented. And you also got Dallas Goedert, very good tight end, very good pass-catching tight end. And the defensive backs will have to kind of replicate their performance last week, or from last week, or 2 weeks ago at this point, I should say, against the Cincinnati Bengals. And you're also getting Jerry Sneed back, which helps, who had to go out after the first 4 snaps. And Steve Spagnuolo said earlier this week that with Jerry Sneed having to go out in that game, he changed a lot of their defensive game plan, took away a lot of stuff that they can do. And he's the leader of that defense, man, and not having him, that was big. And the Chiefs DB still had a really good game. So I think I'm confident in them going up against the Eagles, having Jerry Sneed back there again.
I have a really good feeling. I think the Chiefs might not have the same amount of name recognition in the secondary. Like the Eagles have guys like Darius Slay and James Bradbury, but the Chiefs have a lot of young guys that are very talented and have stepped up as of late. Jalen Watson has 2 postseason interceptions, and I just think that you're seeing a performance that has been very impressive from guys like Brian Cook and Joshua Williams. So, yeah, they might not have the same, big-name talent, but they've got a lot of young guys that are doing the job very effectively and helping the Chiefs win games. And in a game that I think the offense of the Chiefs is going to be better, the defense isn't going to hopefully have to play as good as they needed to be in that Bengals game.
Yeah, a lot of people are just kind of – well, okay, I won't argue with someone who says the Eagles are the more well-rounded roster, but a lot of this week has been made about how this Eagles team is just loaded with talent, and people are acting like the Chiefs are devoid of talent. The Eagles are just a superior roster, and I don't agree with that whatsoever. I think that, this team, they don't have a lot of name recognition in the secondary, but those guys are just as good as who the Eagles have on their side, in my opinion.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if they're getting paid big bucks. It doesn't matter if they have that name recognition. As long as they're getting the job done quickly and efficiently, what does it matter if they're rookies? And it's kind of crazy that the Chiefs are going to have like 7 or 8 rookies starting in this game on both offense and defense. And that only speaks to the level of drafting that Brett Veach has been able to accomplish. But, Josh, I don't think I've ever been this confident going into the Super Bowl. Like, I just feel like, the Eagles might be the better all-around team, but the Chiefs do what the Eagles do, quote-unquote, the best, very similarly. And the one thing that the Eagles do not have is Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And I think that that's going to be the big separation point in this game, because Patrick Mahomes is motivated to win this game because he has the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks of all time if he wins this game. And Andy Reid is going up against his former team and a city that kind of disrespected him on the way out, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. And look, again, the disrespect that the Chiefs are getting is crazy to me. People are acting like they haven't done this before. They haven't won a Super Bowl. The Eagles are the ones who have everything to prove in this game. Now, not saying the Chiefs have nothing to prove because, this is a legacy game for Patrick Mahomes. This game is really important. Anytime you're in the Super Bowl, it's an important game, and it's a must-win game. But the Eagles have more to prove than the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs are the seasoned veterans, per se, at least with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And as, CDOT said on 610 yesterday, the best QB coach duo wins these games 8 times out of 10, and I think this will be one of those 8 times out of 10 where Kansas City Chiefs win because they have the better quarterback and coach.
It's crazy how just having those 2 advantages can sway who wins this game. And I think the Eagles are a good team, but at the end of the day, I just think that their schedule is way too easy. And when you have to face a real team, what are they going to do? I don't think that they're going to have enough to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been in this game before, they've been in this moment, and they've thrived. A lot of the same guys that were on this team, 3 or 4 years ago when they won the thing are still here. Like Frank Clark and Chris Jones and Patrick Mahomes, obviously Travis Kelce, like they have more core pieces than the Eagles do. and even playing in the Super Bowl. Like L'Jarius Sneed has played in a Super Bowl, and Clyde's played in a Super Bowl. And, the Chiefs have pieces that have been in this moment before and know what it's like. The Eagles, and specifically Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, two of the most important pieces on that team, have never been in this moment. And how can you expect them to win against a team that has that experience, has that postseason pedigree that they just simply don't have?
Yeah, and I think that if you made a list of the best players in this game, the Chiefs would have the top three. And that's Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones. If you want to argue the Eagles have like 3 or 4 through 7 or 8 or something like that, okay, fine. But then after that, you're still getting a bunch of Chiefs players in there. Creed Humphrey, who was an All-Pro. Trey Smith, Jerry Sneed, Trent McDuffie, Willie Gay, Nick Bolton. Like, the Chiefs are a very talented team, and people seem to be forgetting that.
They really are. And again, I think it's because the Chiefs don't have the same big name players. They have all the talent, but they don't have the big name free agent acquisitions. They don't have the flashy guys. But
like the Hassan Reddick or
exactly.
the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
But they get the job done just as well.
Yep, exactly.
So, Josh, I think that we've done enough just talking about this game. We've really hit this subject hard throughout the week, posting a video, I think, nearly every day, if not every day. I want to get your final score prediction for this game, a game that should be a really fun one from start to finish. Who's winning this game?
Man, like I told you earlier, going with the Chiefs in this one, 33-24. I think it is tied heading into the fourth quarter. Chiefs, I think the Chiefs, I can't even tell you if they're going to have the lead for most of the game, but it'll be tied going into the fourth quarter, and the Chiefs will pull away in the fourth quarter and win ultimately 33-24, and they will be your Super Bowl champions.
Man, one game away. The Chiefs are one game away from climbing the mountaintop and hoisting a flag that says Super Bowl champions in 2023. I think that the Chiefs are going to win this game. I just think they're a better team than the Eagles. And I know that that might be a controversial statement, but kind of like you said, if you look at the best players in this game, the Chiefs have like the best 3 or 4 players in this game. And I just think that the Chiefs are more prepared for this moment. Andy Reid coming off of the bye is damn near unbeatable. Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl is just shown that he's going to fight from the very beginning to the very end. And it might be tough, but he's going to find a way to get it done late. And I can't say the same for Jalen Hurts. I have no idea how this Eagles team is going to respond to a close game. They've kind of coasted through the playoffs, and they coasted through the regular season to get to this moment. And once they go up against a team that is equal to them, I don't know how they're going to respond. So I think the Chiefs are going to win this game 35-28. I think it's going to be a game where the Chiefs are kind of slow to start off in the first half, but they start to figure it out. And then they start to manipulate that soft zone defense of the Eagles. Mahomes catches fire, hits Travis Kelce, finds guys like Juju Smith-Schuster and Jerick McKinnon in the running game. The Chiefs' offense explodes. They score 35 points. And the Eagles' offense is good, but they're kind of playing from behind and trying to play catch-up. And I think the score will be like 35-21 in the fourth quarter. And the Eagles might... Go ahead.
Did you look into the future or something? You got this thing all planned out.
Maybe I did. I've thought about it a lot. I thought about it a lot. And so I think that, the Eagles might score like a garbage time touchdown, but the Chiefs are going to win this game and be the 2022-2023 Super Bowl champions, hoisting their second Lombardi in the last 4 or 5 seasons.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Man, we're one game away. Like, what are the nerves like right now?
I'm chilling, man. Like, I don't have a lot of nerves now. I'm not trying to distract myself doing too much else. I'm just focused on the game coming. I don't want to, kind of occupy myself too much on this Saturday night, but I'm confident. There are no nerves right now. I'm sure it'll come around once kickoff comes, but I'm good for right now.
I'm not gonna lie. After giving that prediction, I'm pretty fired up. We were 24 hours away from the Chiefs potentially winning another Super Bowl, and we cannot take that for granted. And this is the start of the dynasty. Like, if the Chiefs win this game, they've got 2 rings in the last 5 attempts. I mean, it might not be New England Patriots dynasty, but man, it's going to be kind of hard to deny that this team is all-time great and that this franchise is the premier franchise of the NFL right now. So, Josh, you have anything final to conclude with this video?
Yeah, I'll just let all your fans know, in case they missed it on my channel. I promise you guys that if Frank Clark has 2 sacks in this game and the Chiefs win, they also have to win, that I will buy a Frank Clark Super Bowl jersey.
And if you guys know, I will also be doing the same thing because I'm the biggest Frank Clark fan, of course. But if Frank Clark has 2 sacks and the Chiefs win this game, Josh and I will buy Frank Clark Super Bowl jerseys. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that we'd be here?
I'm sure next season Frank Clark will come back, and I'll immediately regret making that promise. But at that point, if he wins us this Super Bowl, man, I can't disrespect the guy.
Couldn't agree more. Josh, my final question for you is, where can the people find you?
You can find me here on YouTube. It's just my name, Josh Fan. Check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, as always. And make sure you follow me on Twitter at ShowMeFB. And if you guys aren't subscribed to Michael, make sure you go ahead and do that too.
Absolutely. Like, if you're watching this video and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? But all of Josh's stuff will be linked in the description of this video. You guys can go check out the website, kcsportsreport.com, Instagram, KC_sportsreport, and Twitter at KCSportsReport. Hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, the Kansas City Chiefs will win Super Bowl 57 down in Arizona. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video, and go Chiefs!